On this weekend's video, we replace our wastegate and our turbo to a brand new one. I'll explain later on. And we also compare the Evo 9 turbo versus the Evo 8 turbo. Building too much booze. Yeah. Dude, it's literally been 2 days since I figured out that the wastegate and this flapper on the turbo were bad. 2 days. That was on Monday. It is Wednesday, and I already have a turbo at my door, like here in the garage. 2 days, which is insane. Tyler, you're the man. Thank you for the great customer service. Thank you for sending me out a new turbo right away. So now we'll unbox this and put this on the car, and hopefully this fixes all of our issues and we're able to tune and have no issues. So before we continue the video, please make sure that you guys watch the previous video where we find out that the wastegate was actually bad, and this is what caused our issues at the dyno. And we also found out that the flapper on the turbo itself was bad. So that's why we have basically everything brand new. Well, not basically, it is brand new, which is why we're replacing the entire unit to a brand new one, which is crazy because literally I found out on Monday that the turbo was bad or the wastegate was bad, and Janari literally sent me a turbo in less than 2 days, which honestly still blows my mind. But let's go ahead, replace the turbos, and hopefully everything is good. Finally, we took the turbo out. It's always such a hassle to take these turbos out because it's such a tight space that it's very hard to fit anywhere. But now that we have it out, all we're going to do is exactly how we did on the first episode of this build, of this stage 2 of the build, obviously. We're going to change the O2 housing, put it on, basically swap everything from this turbo to that turbo. But before I do that, look at the huge difference. Again, it just blows my mind. Evo 9, Evo 8, and this is also an Evo 9. You can see there the difference from this small little turbo. Alrighty, so the turbo is completely on, as you can see. Always a little bit of a hassle to fit this tight turbo on the car. Now, the main worry that's gonna come as you can see, just so there. The main worry that's gonna come is the wastegate now, because look at how tight that is to put the radiator in. So I'm gonna put it on, and hopefully, fingers crossed, because I already trimmed it for the OEM wastegate, so I do not want to have to trim it. So hopefully once we put this back on, we should be good, and hopefully everything fits. So let me put the radiator on and we should be good to go. So unfortunately, my fear came true. The fan shroud and a little bit of the radiator is hitting with that aftermarket wastegate. So again, Tyler, the man, I already sent him a message and he already replied to me in less than a second. He's gonna send me an OEM one, upgraded wastegate, so I could put the OEM one and then I'll send this one back out to him. But a little mishap here and there. But after this, after the wastegate, so now we have to wait a day or 2 days. Tyler's super quick, so literally he sends me stuff like, it seems like overnight, honestly. So I am going to wait for the wastegate. I'll put the wastegate, put the radiator, and then for sure, if the car gods allow it to happen, this car will be running and we will be good to go. So we'll wait. I'll come back to this video in 2 days or maybe 1 day, knowing Tyler. So we'll be back in a little bit. So while we wait to get the new wastegate in, I'm gonna go ahead and insert some fluids already, oil, new oil filter. And I also got an oil drain plug, a magnetic one from Getty, just because it's good safety. You could check if you have any shavings in your engine bay, and the stock one that I had doesn't have a magnetic on the bolt. So ended up getting this piece if you wanna get it, pretty cool piece. Only like 10 bucks too, so pretty cheap. So let me go ahead, put some new oil, change the filter, and we should be good to go with the oil at least. Just like that, we have our new wastegate in from Janari, from Tyler. Again, shout out to Tyler, man. Great customer service, send me out a new one so I could put this OEM style wastegate on the car and be able to fit the radiator. So let's go ahead and install this. I'll walk you guys through something I learned. Again, learning so many things on putting preload on your wastegate and making sure that you install your wastegate correctly. You would always think that you just slap a wastegate on, put it, you know, and you actually have to give it preload in a sense where the flapper is actually really closed and it's closing on high boost. So I'm gonna walk you guys through that. This is again super simple, 2 bolts and put it here, but the preload part I never knew. And again, learning new things, which is what I'm all about right now, learning as much as I can, and this is part of the process. So let's go ahead and install this. So what I wanted to explain real quick is exactly how to set your preloader. What do I mean by that? And right now, as you can see, let me see if I could do this with one hand, but when I install this arm on the flapper, it is fairly simple to put on. So as you can see, it's still went in a little bit tight, but again, this flapper can still be open because there's nothing pushing it down. So I put that in easily. And that's the way I would have installed it, to be honest, if I wouldn't have researched or learned about this. So now what I'm going to do is essentially set some preload on the wastegate. And again, shout out to Desmond for giving me this hint. He posted it on Instagram and I was like, holy crap, I didn't know that. So what you will do is remove it. And then essentially what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn this 3 times. So this will be 1, and again, I'm so sorry for the quality. 1 turn, 2 turns, that's already 2. So I mean half turn, so this counts as a turn. Just basically Another turn. So that right there, I turned it 3 turns, so 1.5 turns clockwise inward. So now for me to put this on here, I'm actually gonna have to pull a little bit on the wastegate actuator so it can move and hold this. And now it's not gonna hold it perfectly how it was before, where I would just put it in and this will kind of move a little bit, or it will be a little bit loose. Now it's actually gonna hold it tight. So under boost, it's actually gonna be closed. Now I actually need my 2 hands, because essentially what I'm gonna do is close this and pull with my other hand the wastegate to be able to put it on the flapper arm. So let me do that, and then we are good to go. Basically radiator, and we do have a Grimspeed 3-port that we need to install, which I'm gonna explain that to you guys right now and the way I'm gonna do it, because I am gonna let go of the manual boost controller. So now that we have the wastegate all set and good to go, we are going to move into our boost controller. I've always ran a manual boost controller since I got the Evo. It's actually been on the Evo and never had any issues. Great boost controller, honestly, just a manual boost controller. But I just learned that by running an electronic 3-port boost controller, the tuner has more control of the boost on the top end. So that way the graph could look better, obviously, and he can have more control. When it's an electronic boost controller, he will control everything via the ECU instead of depending on a manual boost controller. So that's the reason why we're making the switch, all for the gains, of course, more power. So just so you guys know, I bought a Grimspeed 3-port, and this Grimspeed 3-port comes with a stock location, which unfortunately is where I have my fan module, which I located there because it's out of the way. It doesn't bother my intake. And again, I have a slim fan from Mishimoto, so it doesn't have that bracket that the OEM one has. So I set it there, so I can't put this right there. And I don't want to mess with that because I honestly really like the location. It hides away with the intake, makes it look super clean. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this L bracket right here, and I'm gonna hide this one and tuck this away really nicely inside here. So there are like 2 holes. I don't know if you guys could see it. I'm gonna go for the bottom one and see if I could put it flat against this part, and you won't even be able to see it. So the vacuum hoses or vacuum lines, whatever you wanna call these little hoses, are going to run nice and neat underneath the fan, and you won't even see anything. And again, I know that there's a lot of wires on my car. I haven't got into doing the wire tuck, but this is all part of it. So might as well tuck it now, make it nice and clean, hidden away. And that way I can still plug this in, because again, the harness for the boost controller is literally right there. It's like it's meant to be, honestly. So let me get to cutting. I'll cut this part right here, install that there. Not gonna bore you guys on everything. So let me just do this, time lapse everything, and I'll show you guys the finished result and see if it's good to go. So before I go ahead and install the 3-port on the car, wanted to make sure that I explained this. Number 3 essentially goes to the boost source, which is your actual turbo. Number 2 goes to your wastegate. And number 1, you could either bend out or just route it to your intake manifold if you have a sort of port or something like that, but I'm just gonna leave it, let it air out. So essentially what I'm gonna do now is install the hoses now and put the zip tie now, so when it's on the car, it's not gonna be comfortable, obviously. So let me go ahead and grab some zip ties, some small zip ties actually, and zip tie it to the 3-port. Dude, I just love it when you're working on cars and things are all going smoothly, which I shouldn't be talking so ahead. I need to be careful, but let me show you guys how good that spot for the 3-port Grimspeed came out. It came out perfect, out of the way and hidden. I can't wait to do a wire tuck on this engine. Again, the location that they have it for is here, which is fine. The intake will still hide it, but again, this is what I use to hide my fan module because I have the Mishimoto slim fan. Now, what I ended up doing was putting it, you can't even see it, but what I ended up doing was putting it right here below. Let me see if I could get all of this out of the way. You could kind of see it there. I didn't even have to drill a hole. I just used an existing hole. You can see the bolt that I put, washer and nut, and we are set to go. It's right there, hidden out of the way. Again, you guys already saw the ports. This one's gonna go to the wastegate, and then the bigger one in the middle is gonna go to the turbo source, which is right here. and we are set to go. Completely out of the way, completely hidden. Radiator's gonna be there. You're not even gonna see all of these cables and hoses are all gonna go underneath, which I love doing. I love making things clean and better than they're supposed to. So really enjoy doing that. Simple shit like that really makes me happy. I don't know, whatever. Maybe some of you guys can relate, but it is time. It is time. Let's go ahead, install the radiator. Let me put this heat shield on this turbo real quick, the OEM heat shield. Once I put that, time has come to put the radiator on and start this bad boy up. So let's go ahead. Guys, I can't even make this up. I don't know. I don't understand. Please tell me if you do know in the comments. It's the same turbo, Evo 9 Turbo 20G with an OEM wastegate, and now my radiator didn't fit. But before we had the same setup, same OEM wastegate, and it did fit. Like, remember when I had to customize all of this and cut it? So I'm confused. Like, it's super tight. Like, if the wastegate was more inward, nothing has changed on my car. I didn't crash or anything like that. I am so confused. Like, so confused. Wastegate is bolted up correctly, obviously. Try to check to see if I could tighten it anymore. It's like if the wastegate was sitting more out, but that doesn't make sense. And I compared it to the other one that I had, and it's exactly the same. I don't know, man. I'm confused. I'm gonna see if I can modify this shroud. I didn't want to do that. But again, I literally don't know. Like, I'm breaking my head trying to figure out what the difference is. I even measured the turbo to see if it was a bigger turbo. I don't know. Like, I am confused. So if you know, let me know, because I'm gonna have to freaking modify my shroud, which I didn't want to do. So let's go ahead and do that. Before I continue, I was just standing in this spot a couple of clips ago, and I said, isn't it great, or something like that, like about when you're working on cars and everything goes correctly and everything goes the right way. And I said, let me not talk ahead of time. And here we are. This is cars for you, bro. Like, literally, this is how this car, this Evo, has treated me since I started switching everything up. So I don't know, man. It's so crazy to me that I just said that. But let's get to work now, for real, for real. I've tried everything and it's just not fitting. Like, this is so frustrating. Like, this Evo just is against me. Like, I don't know since when it just started being against me. Like, nothing literally goes as planned. It still doesn't even make sense why the radiator doesn't want to fit. I've cut so much. Let me show you guys. I've cut so much. Sorry, I have a mess. I'm super frustrated. I'm already literally like all the way. And now what's happening is, not only is it still giving me issues, because it's still like super close. I had to cut the fan, obviously, as you guys saw. Now the main issue, I don't know if you guys can see how this is all smudged here. The bolts of the wastegate are not allowing the fan to spin, because one of the bolts sits right here and it doesn't let the fan spin, which I even have a headache, which is it's insane to me. Like, I don't know why, I don't know what changed, but whatever. Now, plan B is the zip ties again, which I hated, because at the beginning when I first bought this radiator, I ended up doing zip ties and they don't last that long. Like, every 4 or 5 months with the heat, they kind of snap and break. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do the zip ties for the radiator for the meantime. I'm gonna see if I can either get them in AutoZone Advance. I don't know who sells them local, but hopefully I find some. After I do the zip ties, I for sure 100% I'm gonna get a slim radiator with a slim fan shroud like the CSF or the STM1. I'm super frustrated. I hate the fact that I cut all of my fan up for no reason, because now I'm gonna go back to the zip ties. So now it should actually fit, but unbelievable, honestly, unbelievable. I don't know what's up with this car. Like, do you not wanna be out on the road? Like, you were meant to be driven. Like, it's insane, but I don't know. I'm just gonna call it a night there. All right, today has to be the day. It has to be the day. I'm not gonna jinx anything, but I ended up finding the zip ties for the radiator. This is how they work. Basically, let me flip this around. So this is for an electric fan, or as you can see, a cooler. You basically insert the zip ties, and they have some clamps on the back. You have the sponge, so it doesn't mess up any fins. And essentially what we're gonna do is insert them through here. They're gonna come out on the other side, and the fan is gonna be directly mounted on the radiator itself. Again, this is a solution I'm gonna do for now. I'm already super annoyed that I cut my fan and everything, so I'm gonna go with the CSF later on. But if this does work, then we're gonna probably do this for maybe the next couple of months, and then I'll switch it to the CSF, and you guys will obviously see that. Whew, I'm going super quick because I want to start the car today. So let me go ahead and install these. You guys can see the finished result, and then we will go ahead and we'll do a fitment test on the car and make sure that it does clear the wastegate. So let's go. So, quick update, at least good news. It fit. It definitely fits. Look at how tight that is. So I know still something's going on, because if the fan is literally mounted directly to the radiator, something's causing that wastegate to sit a little bit outward. But let me show you guys underneath. It's a really close fit, but we made it work. We have a little bit of a gap there, as you can see, maybe not even half an inch. And we're not hitting the fan anymore. So thank you, zip ties. Zip ties always save your life. So let me go ahead, mount the radiator, get some fluid on the radiator, on the car. I already did the oil and everything, as you guys obviously saw. And then it's just a matter of priming the turbo again, which I'm not gonna record all of that. Just enjoy the time lapse, and then we will turn on the car and hopefully be able to drive the car. So let's get to that. I don't wanna bore you guys with repetitive content. So let me do that, and then I'll update you guys as soon as we start the car, and maybe even drive the car, maybe? Question mark? We'll see. As you can see, the car started. Little bit of smoke coming from the coated part of the turbo. I'm gonna check over everything again and make sure that we are good to go. Gonna check for leaks or anything like that with my flashlight, obviously, and we'll go from there. But so far, so good. Man, finally, we got this thing to run. So let's make sure that everything's good, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to be ending the video there. This video has been extremely long as is, but let me know. I'm curious to know if you guys prefer longer videos where I go more into detail and I show everything, or do you guys prefer the shorter videos where they're just like 8 to 10 minutes long and I'm just like going through everything super quick. I'm curious, I want to know, because whatever you guys prefer, I'll do. I always record like a lot more than what I post. So if you're interested in like seeing everything, let me know and I'll do that. But in next weekend's video, what we are going to do is we're finally gonna take the car out for a drive. Everything is smooth, the car is good to go. But like always, keep grinding, stay safe, and I'll see you guys next weekend. Take care. It's just building too much